So hopefully you guys can hear us.
And we're live.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're live. Well, that's nice.
Hey, Danny.
Hello.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Danny, you're very quiet.
I turned it down because you're
Oh, wow.
so loud.
No, but it's not the volume. It's we can't hear you.
No, I think it is the volume. It's just really, really, really low today.
Yeah.
Try it.
Ooh, how about that?
I can hear you. It is really, 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 really low.
Yeah. Pump it up.
Figure out how to turn you guys down so I can turn me up.
Oh, yeah,
there you are.
That's way better.
Yeah. Okay, good.
There we go.
Okay. Well, do you guys want to start off with what we've done this week? Who wants to start?
I have a list because I've been journaling, so if it makes it easy, I can go through that.
Yeah, please do.
This is Sunday this week, so since the last one, which was on Thursday, I had a funding meeting with Arnold to try and hook him into our funding meeting because he's a funding type guy, but we ended up having a chat, and then I fired him over to Michael instead. To do some syncs, and then I learned about open value networks. I did some growth stack numbers. I transferred working patterns to Medium. We had Swanner's video for Kim, which I dropped. Ostrom paper on blockchain. I've been looking at that, Loie. That was you that brought that up, no?
No, Griff brought that up.
Oh, okay, try to go through that. I had a call with Michael. JP calls lots of Odyssey stuff, track sort out and narrative, kind of reiterating over that. Learning K's diagram, Kai's diagram. I keep reading that wrong today, sorry. Which I realized was completely different to the preference signaling, which is the mechanism I was understanding. We had a call with Nick on curves, who had some really good points on potential problems, I reckon. Is the guy you were talking to, Griff. He's an interesting cat. He seems like quite a nice guy. He's just really, really concerned, and but he does have good points, and I'm trying to figure out what he exactly meant. Had a chat with him. Yeah, Open Value Network. Rick Stefanowski or something like that. Yeah, information theory. Started trying to read about the mathematical model for communication on the understanding that we'd probably use that for preference signaling, which I got completely wrong anyway. We had a social coding meet. I introduced Adam to some guys in Pillar because Bright ID could be really well integrated there, especially considering that Pillar have gone off and doing their own thing, kind of nowhere near as well as Adam is thinking about it, I'd say. But that's just opinion. And then yesterday I met some old colleagues to just work in with them and find out what's happening in their worlds. Communications meeting, that's about it, yeah. Check out. I pass to Chris.
Okay. So what I did, I added the text that Jeff and Abby were working on for the entire Odyssey narrative. I added some more Giveth in there and some other things that I think could help. I attended the JP call on Monday to talk about the Nature 2.0 track, and then I helped. I just helped out with Jeff being interviewed and so on, listening to that one. I figured out and did some calculations together with Bowen for unicorn self-delegation payments, and then we figured it out together. I worked on the token bonding curve text after rewatching some more videos, had a call on it with Griff, after this, reworked it some more and shared it with Bernd and Abby and Jeff for feedback. I done the comms meeting. I wrote, I started writing the What's Happening text myself, and I'm going to finish that one today. Then we had our all hands Odyssey call where I took notes, and then I reorganized the sheet for a little bit for the Odyssey overview. Yeah, and then I'm still gonna, like, for the rest of the week, I'm still gonna, I hope to dive more into Odyssey and share some of the, at least one of the texts, at least, I hope, well, for sure, What's Happening, and maybe the second one as well, if I get feedback on time. And then there's still the funding call coming up tomorrow too, and that's about it. And I give it to Lorelai.
Yay, thanks. Have people been talking about intentions and distractions?
Oops.
Chris,
No.
do you want to do that?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so my intention is just to have a swift meeting, not too long if possible. We don't have a lot of on the agenda that I can continue working, and my distraction is my tea, water, boiling, and that's it. And I give it to Lorelai.
Cool. It's a good distraction to have. And I'll let you go. Let's see. This week I've worked on the token engineering common stuff, just been present for meetings there and researching my part in that. And I did my regular Unicorn DAC stuff, some more auditing of what's been going on there, because sometimes we lose delegations. Made a Lumio about that stuff. We've been traveling a lot, and I got pretty bowled over with a 2-day headache and felt like I wasn't very productive for a couple days. Yeah, I didn't write a list today, so this meeting I'm intending to just go through that Lumio that I put up, which I put up very stream of consciousness-y, because I knew it would just be kind of a simple thing I need to bring up in this meeting. So apologies for any amount that it was confusing in the way I wrote it out, but I'm sure it'll be simple to go through it together here. And I'm not really distracted as long as our internet stays good. And I'll pass it to, wait, Danny, did you check in yet?
I did not. Okay. My intention for this meeting is to be quick and useful with my time and our time here to address what we need to and chime in where my voice is warranted. My distractions are just that, I think my distraction is just that, following up on what I've been doing this week. I've been in a consumptive phase this week rather than productive, which is to say I've been watching a ton of videos, reading a bunch of articles, following links, and trying to educate myself so I can speak intelligently to amazing, intelligent people I'm going to interact with. So to that end, let's see, I still am always monitoring Riot and answering the things that are on there. Helped a few people get the pieces of information they needed. But other than that, I'm mostly thinking about different ways that the commons can be applicable, and the transition and how that looks for us in my role here. That's all I got. Kai, let's give it to you.
Sure. My intention is to also have a quick meeting. It seems like we don't have too much on the agenda, so maybe we can come up with stuff for a fireside chat or end it early, depending on what people want. My distraction is just the regular hosting stuff with checking the video and stuff and such. The stream is okay, or it's great. So what I did a lot of Odyssey stuff, like usual. We had that big Team 2 call with Nature 2, and I was on there and trying to help fit the narrative to the whole track and be in the discussion. I also did some design supergroup initial org, and we got some working documents out of that. I had this thing where I asked Lydia to make a logo for us for Odyssey, which is nice. Many people voted. I don't know if everybody here has seen it. I will share the Lumia tomorrow, but we got a cool one. It's a carrot. I love this so much. I did some front-end design for Get Fired. That's the project that came out of ETH Paris. I did add all the analytics back to the website for Google Analytics and Matomo as well. We are using a test account now for 30 days, and let's see how we like it, because we would need to pay them for hosting it or host it ourselves after the 30 days. I met with Riot, which is the Research Institute for Art and Technology in Vienna. These guys are around all the DEF CONs. You might have met them. What?
Oh, Riot or Riot? We weren't really sure.
Well, it's a.
But I trust you because you're speaking their language.
Yeah, but English, it's an acronym for English word, so I would say it's Riot. Or maybe I say Riot. I don't know what I said. But they might be cool for to get some potential research funding. I've actually thought before that if we don't want to use it for the token engineerings, we could also try to maybe do the GovLab thing there, maybe via me as an entity, but that was just an idea I had before. If we don't want to take other routes or routes. Yes, so I'm the meeting host, so I'm gonna make sure that this is all uploaded to YouTube and filed correctly. I did, of course, lots of reading and learning as usual. Thank you, Josh, for the brain juice. And I give it to Griff.
Yeah. So I also have been doing a lot of Odyssey stuff. And thank you, Kai, for like managing and making all these things happen. I've been doing a lot of networking though. That's why I had to miss the meeting today, unfortunately. I ended up in a lunch with the executive, with some guys in Israel, the Tabuki, Laraz, and Yoav. Yoav's huge in the meta transaction scene. And then they just happened to bring along the Ethereum executive director, Aya. So I couldn't really miss the meeting. I had to miss the meeting, and I got to pitch them the Token Engineering Commons idea, and I've been kind of pitching this like to everyone every day, basically. I think this guy in Istanbul, his name's Bora. He works for like he works for the college, game theorist, like social. He was perfect. He was like spent like an hour and a half talking to him about it. Also did a fair amount of reading on the legal stuff and following all the work that everyone else is doing on the Token Engineering Commons. Followed up with the grants for the data, decentralizing data stuff on Gitcoin. I think they're on it now. Reviewed a grant for that Adria is giving to do like launch Argon on a private network in Barcelona. That they'll use locally. Let's see. Oh, connected Lansky to Edu for DAppNode, trying to get him working for DAppNode instead of whatever he's doing right now, which would be cool. Also, following up with the DApp and the issues there, and trying to get the Gitcoiners squared away, and also a bunch of decentral stuff, following up with some people for the art car, getting the final bills and the final accounting done, working on the form. And there was the whole multi-sig thing, which will be finished up pretty much after I get Michael's address. Yeah, I think that's probably most of it. And I think that's everyone. So, right? Yeah. And yeah, so next is on the agenda is just going through our normal stuff. Oh, my intentions for the meeting. I'm distracted because I'm looking at Lorelei's computer, but I also have my computer up.
Maybe we should ask around for the agenda.
Is, yeah, for good fireside early, then leave early. What?
There was a bit of a double. I just maybe we should build more of the agenda, or do you want to just jump to the first point and then it's a fireside chat?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking a fireside chat. Well, I mean, well, let's separate it into two, but we can try to be quick with this. I think there's only one point on the agenda, which, well, other than to remind you to, do votes for the weekly DApp update on Lumio, of course. But then the actual point is Lorelei's.
Okay. Yeah. So I made this Lumio because every week I have this situation when I go to my delegations when I go to my delegations to actually execute the 600 die that each unicorn chooses towards the milestones that they pick, where I'm actually just going to share my screen because I think that you guys would have no other way of knowing what this looks like. But as you can see, here I am. There's like a lot of ETH sitting around. Each person has several ETH donations in their name, sorry. And the die is just like, it just keeps depleting and running out, and Griff has to keep putting back in more die and more die. But the ETH is mainly just sitting there. So I just wanted a way for people to like be delegating more ETH. So I proposed to like allow, this is not an imposition proposal, it's just, hey, let's make it a little easier for unicorns to make their self-delegation milestones in ETH. They don't have to, but I would extend the delegation time period, so that I would do the delegating on Tuesday so that people have more of an actual time period to take care of that, making the milestone on Monday so that they're able to use a Sunday conversion rate for Ether. However, Chris brought up a fair point that that we just went through this Lumio process to make a role for Griff, saying that basically when this exact situation comes up, that he would just take the ETH out and turn it into DAI and put it back in. Okay, this isn't a traditional proposal round, I guess, because I think that's a fair enough point that I kind of want to address it. I would like to shift my proposal towards that, unless, Griff, it feels like too much work for you. No? Okay. So knowing that it's not just like a one transaction thing, what will end up having to happen is I make a milestone to take all of the ETH out of the Unicorn DAC and send it to Griff, and then Griff can transform whatever amount of it into DAI, and then he'll have to redelegate in each person's name. So he'll have to make 7 delegations to do that, but I think he's doing that often anyways. So yeah, my proposal now is to to like use up that money that's in the Unicorn DAC by making a milestone. I, Lorelai, will make a milestone to send all of the ETH. Okay, let's say 75% of the ETH will get turned into DAI when it gets put back in. All of it's going to stay in the Unicorn DAC in people's names, but I'm going to keep 25% of it in ETH because people do delegate sometimes in ETH. That's my proposal. It might be unclear, so any clarifying questions?
Yes, I was wondering, because it's actually already delegated, isn't that something we have to do? Like maybe make a new milestone and we have to delegate it there, the ETH you want?
I don't understand the question.
I can respond. No, so you don't delegate your, it wouldn't be considered part of your 600, right? Because this is like a bureaucratic thing that we have to do because Lorelai is in control of all of the donations.
It's just a way that the ETH would actually get out of the DApp.
Yeah, you guys don't have to do anything.
Okay, now my question was because it seemed like it shows up in the system on my account. That's why I thought we would probably need to send it somewhere. But if that's not the case,
I don't even think you can.
Okay. Okay. I also the rest is my reaction.
Okay. Any other clarifying questions? Nope. Okay. Reaction round. Kai,
I'll go first.
Cool.
I liked the original proposal better. Just because I like the choice and I wasn't a big proponent of making it only DAI in the first place. And I like having the weekday instead of the Sunday deadline. So my reaction is that I prefer the other way, but I have no objections to going this way. And I'll pass it to Kai.
Yes, I just got past my daughter. That's why I got distracted. So I always self-delegate in DAI anyway. I know that. So it can be 100% of my ETH going to DAI. And I, in general, I support the proposal because I think the ETH should not be sitting there when we're not using it. And I give it to Chris.
Yeah, I now looking back at the Lumio, I indeed see that like I was the only one disagreeing for the logic that you just explained. I do get also Danny's point of like giving people the freedom to do how they want to. But I would say like if we do this and if we give the choice here, then I would also like redo the other Lumio proposal. I just think it's good to be consistent and if we decided on the other one to stick with DAI, I would stick with DAI as well for this one, just like, you know, for transparency and so on. It's just easy and it's less administration for us, as I put in a comment. But I don't have a strong opinion. I didn't have a very strong opinion on the other one either. I just, yeah, I like it if there's some clear rules of like how we do it and that it's traceable. So yeah, I'm in favor of this proposal, but I'm open to revise it anytime if needed. I like it because it's less administration for us and less work. And I give it to Josh.
I'm unsure of where we're actually at. I've been taking the notes, but I don't remember the particular Lumios in question well enough to kind of tie together what people have been talking about. I'm in favor of the least bureaucratic solution while maintaining the highest amounts of transparency and least amounts of prediction where possible. pragmatic rather than dogmatic, and I think this affects you guys more than me. So,
Not for long.
Yeah, not for long.
Truth. Gonna make some milestones after this meeting.
Griff, do you want to react?
Yeah.
Oops, we lost you guys.
Said for me.
Griff, can you start over because you guys could start?
So I like the original proposal more as well. Copy paste what Danny said for me. I see the Unicorn DAC and the Giveth DAC as two separate things, and so the policies don't necessarily have to intermingle. They can be totally opposite. I like people having the choice to do Ether. I like Ether, but at the same time, I also see it does take extra load on Lorelei. So to have to know how much Ether to keep for some people and you know, if Danny wants to do Ether every time, I think that would be fine. I think then Lorelei would just maintain an Ether balance. But then there's also a huge opportunity for failure for Danny to get paid because there's like a 24-hour window to do that one thing. So it's like a risk reward kind of a thing. It's dangerous and it adds extra complication that doesn't need to be there. So I don't think anyone really feels strongly one way or another on this topic, and that it probably doesn't even need to be Illumio because we have a benevolent dictator that can just make the decisions. I would say that there are always going to be things people might want to donate that happen to be made in Ether. And also, there are going to be milestones that can take either currency. So I would just say that when there's the opportunity for a milestone that takes either currency, use Ether. And if we do the conversion, make sure to keep some Ether for everyone, because there will be, it's okay to stay there, in my opinion, and speculate on Ether. Ether's going to the moon, guys. Okay, I'll pass it to Bowen. Bowen, I don't know if you have a chance, if you want to respond to the Lumio that Lorelei made. She changed her proposal, but we can also just skip it.
I can take a look at it, but you guys sound pretty positive about it already. When was it modified? Let me just pull up Lumio. I'm sorry.
In this meeting, I basically modified it to fit Chris's comment on the Lumio.
I say we skip Bowen and we just
okay. Yeah, skip me, but I'm going to say yes because I trust you.
Oh. Okay, yeah. So amend and clarify. Honestly, I like the first proposal better too. For like Josh brought it to the philosophical level of like, yeah, less bureaucracy and like not playing this prediction game. But honestly, this is our governance meeting structure. I just made a proposal to do it like the Chris way, sort of, and I don't think anyone really cares that much. So I say we keep it this way, that I just proposed, that I will make a milestone as far as actually letting the Ether out of the DApp. I will make a milestone to send all of the Ether out to Griff that's in the Unicorn DAC. And he will convert 75% of it to DAI and redelegate it back into those people's names in the Unicorn DAC.
Small objection.
Oh.
Can we leave don't send all of it to me, just send the amount that you want to convert and leave some for each person so I don't have to redelegate the Ether.
Is it possible to send, so you want me to send 75% of each of these donations to you? That means like
no
11 milestones.
No.
It?
Just send the, you know, make it so that each person has 2 Ether or some amount of predefined Ether, and then send me the rest.
I don't understand how to do that technically.
So like for this one, that's 2.3 Ether. You could just delegate 0.3 Ether, and then delegate every other Ether one.
Okay, so it won't actually stay in those people's names. It will just be a lump sum.
Yeah, no, it will stay in their names.
I don't believe you.
Okay, well, I'll help you. How about you ask for my help? And
Okay,
we'll do it together?
whatever.
Just don't send me all the ether and then make me redelegate the ether, because it doesn't.
Okay, I will take the total of all the ether in the Unicorn DAC and take 75% of that total and send it to you in a milestone, and you can convert it to DAI and send it back in people's names. That's the proposal. Hopefully it doesn't fuck up the situation we already have. Okay, any objections? Cool. Yeah, no objections. Okay, proposal passed.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you for doing this, Lorelai.
You're welcome. I think this is the most, like, flippant. Is that the right word? The most flippant I've ever felt about a proposal. Like, well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. Getting stuff done. Okay, I feel like it's fireside chat time, and I do want to just propose, like, if you guys want to turn this into a Roles Hangout sesh, either during fireside chat time or after, then I'd be down with that. Cool.
So Kai made a proposal at the beginning that we build at least query and agenda for the fireside chat. So it sounds like number one on the agenda opportunities list is roles meeting. Does anyone else have any agenda topics they want to add to the fireside chat list?
Bowen.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't. It took me so long to get in here. I would like to show you a thing that I'm working on super quick and discuss the possibility, or actually find out exactly what the social coding coffer can be spent on. And the two are related. So that's my agenda topic.
And
sounds exciting.
And I have a topic, and it's called progression design.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other topics?
I would quite like to know how we see ourselves as an organization.
Asking the easy questions.
Always, it's more kind of to lucid kind of ideas and thoughts, and you have to hold kind of multiple things in the head and kind of figure out what's the least wrong way to go.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else? Okay, well, let's start. I think Bowen's might be the easiest to start with, so let's go there.
Cool. So in all of my frustrations and trials and tribulations working on the current bridge monitor, I decided, you know what would probably be best for myself and everyone else is if we just completely redesigned it and recreated it based on having worked with it and working with like the application of Giveth from the standpoint of being security guard, plus getting some feedback from other people that have looked at the monitor and whatever. And so I've had to use it. And so I came up with this idea, which I'm going to try and share a tab here, just so you can see. Now this is just a mock-up right now, but you can kind of if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
What I think you'll be able to see is instead of it being like one gigantic wall of text, it's broken up into the different things that are useful. So on the left hand, like if we go from the top, it's now a dashboard. It's connected via MetaMask, and that's for a couple of like really important reasons. Then what it will do is it will show the payments that are ready to pay out. And each one of those has a little plus button next to it, which will drop down. Right now, it's just a disperse or delay payment thing, and those will only show if you're the security guard, or the delay will only show if you're the security guard. Disperse will show to you anyone that is like currently right now, it's to anybody. And the disperse all payments now button should show to anybody. And then if you notice, it has new information in here that didn't exist before. So it will show who created the milestone as well as who the recipient of the milestone is. Each of those should be clickable to places in the DApp. Plus links to the milestones, which instead of just clicking on the row, you actually have to click on the link, so we can make more stuff clickable. So it makes it a little bit easier to see. Now, one of the reasons that the Bridge Monitor doesn't work very well right now is that it's polling the entire database into your web browser every few seconds, which is kind of ridiculous. And in order to stop that from happening, I just have to redo the entire thing. But this is sort of the design mock-up, which brings me to point 2 of what I wanted to ask as far as the social coding coffers is because I was speaking to Frederick, who has been super good at just knocking code out super fast. I talked to him about what I wanted to do, and I said that I was gonna hopefully talk to him yesterday or today, which hasn't happened yet. And fingers crossed we'll be able to, and see if he's interested in helping me break this up into bite-sized chunks, and then sort of tossing it up as bounty style or perhaps something like that in social coding. And since we have, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how much, it's like 9 or 10 ETH or something in the offers. If enticing people to write code in social coding that is useful to us is something that I could delegate the Ether and the social coding coffers for.
Of course, man. Of course.
So that's the whole thing. Yeah.
And I would make the milestones and try to also solicit funds from the Unicorn DAC, the Giveth DAC, the DApp.
Awesome. That was what was suggested to me when I came up with the idea. So I'm glad that you doubled that suggestion.
Yeah. I mean, I think throw some in there, to make sure that there's something, maybe for the first one, right? And then try to be hey, Unicorn DAC, huh? I mean, you're also a unicorn, so.
Yeah. So so that was basically all I had to say. I mean, it's like I said, it's just a design mock-up now, but going from there to actually having something working could be relatively quick, depending on whether I have to do it all myself or I can get other people to help me. So, but I think it'll be a much more useful tool at the end. Because you have direct ability to affect the DApp from it if you know that it's there.
And you'll have I think you and I are the only people that actually use this. Danny, do you ever look at that thing, the Bridge Monitor? Oh yeah? Oh nice, yeah. So, and Danny too.
I think the more people that found out that it was there, the more people are looking at it, because even Frederick looks at the Bridge Monitor now. So he goes hey, I see my payments are about to come out. Can you please switch it
over useful, a necessary evil into a really nice tool? It's really nice.
Yeah, and the thing is I know that this will port back to being useful to the B4H people as well.
Yeah.
Because an interface is an interface, they'll just have to change the API call, because all of the queries will be the same.
Nice.
So cool. What's been taking most of my time was trying to figure out how best to organize all that information and everything and whatnot. So
it's perfect.
Okay, and just one final quick note. I'm going camping because my best friends are moving to Oregon, and this is the last weekend they're going to be here. I'm going camping for the weekend. I will get Friday's payments out, and I will security guard check in at the last moment, but there's only one payment going out on Sunday. So I could even do that when I get back home on Sunday, but I just wanted to let you know that I was on top of it.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, I'm done, guys. Off to the next person. Thanks for letting me share.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I've been wanting more information from that page.
Yeah. I love the show and tells. We should do show and tells more often. But But let's go with Chris's progression design.
Yeah. So I just wanted to like give a quick update on what I did last Friday. So I went to I was invited by I have like a job coach that I see once in a while, and she has a number of initiatives that she does for organizations and for teams. And so actually I was the only one who was there who was not like like the team leader who was already involved. I was just like, she's like my personal coach, but she wanted to have like my opinion on it in the sense that she knows about Giveth and what we do, and she thinks it's fantastic. So they're launching actually a new organization. It's called Progression Designers, and I really had to share it a little bit, and I hope I'm actually especially looking at Lorelei for this one, that we could do something with this. So the thing that they're so how can I summarize? A thing that they're focusing on mainly is like building organizations of the future, and they want to really not just focus on the individual, but like how organizations can become really flexible. And so the image they used for this was the image that Jeff also has for his post of like the birds. So the murmuration of like a flock just following each other. And so they want to build an organization like this that is very flexible and listening to each other and moves in a very intuitive way. And so they gave a lot of examples of this, how they want to do this, and they also gave us some of these cards. So like, I'm going to see if we can show them. So like, they have like all these cards on healthy relationships with the outside world, shared value and mindset, and then on the back there's an explanation what that means: progressive work, constructive collaboration, shared leadership, and achieving something special together. And so so, and they asked us like to hold up like what we think that we score best on and so on. And so I think, let me double check. I think the thing that I said we scored best on was the value aspect. But achieving something together, I think, was the thing when they explained that I put up as the one that we still had to learn most about, because I think we as a team, because we are decentralized and because this has never been done before in the way that we are doing it, I think I've heard it from multiple people in our team already, or in our community, that we're not always working on like 100% of our capabilities because we're like distracted and like we're like stuck on like administration, the thing that we just like mentioned. So long story short, they have a tool, it also exists in English, that they invite us to like fill in individually, like how high do you think your organization scores on this? And for them, it's a way to see like, hey, these are the things that like, hey, that really needs work. And these are some things that they're aligned on. That's like perfectly well. But like from these cards, these are the things that they really need to work on. And they're extremely flexible. They're like 4 people who are like also working in a very non-hierarchical way. They value-wise, they're very aligned. They're not typical corp organization-wise whatsoever. They're really progressive in that sense. And they're fascinated about what we do. So question is, if you guys would be interested in like filling out such a form, such a document thingy, and then we can maybe do like a call with them and to see like, hey, what their first thoughts are. And if it's valuable for us, then maybe we can they build out like a custom made track for you to make sure that like as an organization, you thrive. That's really their purpose. And so that part of course is not free, but I'm pretty sure that that like the first part is free. But like if we see like, hey, these guys make sense, if you agree, then maybe we can go on the next step. But it's my intention is mostly of like, how can we, as an organization and as individuals in that other organization, like bring our value even more to the table.
Nice.
Wait, so what exactly does the document entail?
So it gives them like, it creates like a sort of signaling effect for them of what is like what we're struggling with in our organization and what needs work. And so it helps them like as a for
it's
basic
like kind of testing what organizations like ours, what type of help they need.
Yeah.
So.
And it gives them an angle to start on, like saying, hey, these are the things that we might possibly be able to coach you on.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a free sample.
Yeah.
I think so too. So if there are no objections, it's like not an official Lumia proposal, but I just would ask them if they could send me that like document, or that it's a short, I don't know, I guess it's sort of Google form or something, that we fill it in, and then the people who are interested can like join on a meeting to discuss their insights.
Okay, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Goes down for example.
Cool. What did you say, Josh?
I said always down for free samples.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it sounds like that's a good yes. So we keep going?
Sure.
Okay, Josh, you had an organization idea. You had a question for us as an organization.
Yeah, is how do we see ourselves? Because actually, this is kind of very linked to Chris's one and those people kind of thing. Is that like how we see our organization together and how aligned that is where kind of the magic of things happens. So like how we see each other, or how we see the org, like Giveth, what we're doing with Odyssey, kind of the general big picture stuff of us together. How do we see that?
Maybe I can give some feedback. I don't know, like if it's to someone specific, but we identify right now as a DAC, a decentralized altruistic community. And so I think there's a pretty good definition of what we do and why we do on the website and the wiki. But that's how we identify right now as a DAC. But is there something more specifically you're looking for?
Well, yeah, I'm like, it's the, so as we go into Odyssey, there is a bunch of accelerators and things like that. So we're going to have to deal with other people wanting stuff and seeing us in a certain way, and how we deal with their perspective as a collective will dictate the outcomes of how things unfold. So I feel that it's quite important that we kind of have shared values on what we see as a larger kind of roadmap that's not a roadmap, if that makes sense. Like, is Giveth looking to become self-sustainable by doing something as Giveth, or is it looking for contributions from outside entities that spin up, perhaps? And in which case, then it stays alive from people having time to work on it within whatever else they're doing. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I mean, at least on that front, I can say what I think about it. First off, I see Giveth as a DAO, even though we don't have a DAC, basically, right? Even though we don't have a DAO like smart contract necessarily. I mean, we kind of do with the DApp, and that's where we roll. But you know, spreadsheet
smart contract to be a DAO.
I mean, no, definitely not. But you do need it to. You do need some kind of code base, I guess, right, to move money around in an autonomous way, which we have. And then, but then, as far as like, how do we want to sustain ourselves in the future? I mean, I think that we are, you know, dog fooding, right? Like, we're building this donations platform, so living off of donations is what we want to do. And if we can find other creative ways to sustain ourselves, besides donations and grants, then we will use them for sure. I mean, obviously, the obvious thing is the commons, right? If we get the commons stack rolling for token engineering commons and it works, then I would hope we would start using it for Giveth as well. And then we'd have Giveth a shitcoin. No, just kidding. That was what Richard and Jeff came up with. But yeah, so I don't know. Is that what you were looking for?
Kind of part of it, yeah. That it's good information. It's kind of all kind of edge information as well. So like how we work together as well, because obviously we don't tell each other to do anything. But then like, how do we not work in silos if that's the case? Is it, you know, this is my thing. So when I was researching, what were they called? It was the chaotic stuff, Danny. So they're you know, what they point out about decentralization is that it's, you know, it's not distribution, it's decentralization now I'm talking about, which as a space we really screw up on the language. But like, decentralization is at home, isolated, working on one thing or several things, but not really tying in with anyone in any particular ways, which means, for instance, that we don't have a cascading of information that enables the larger organizational powers. Because that's the whole point in organizing, which is why we centralized into organizations. But then we realized there was all this top-down hierarchy and bureaucracy that became a nightmare. So now we're trying to distribute the load across multiple kind of people, but that involves a tie-in, and how well we tie in is kind of like how when should, you know, is it lucky guesswork, or is there more like, could there be better protocols for us to follow, not necessarily dogmatically, but pragmatically, going, oh, well, it'd be good to tie in on this, you know, but I don't know. I'm uncertain largely, and I'm not making much sense.
I mean, I think that follows really well with what Chris was just saying, is that that's what we are lacking the most, is right, working, you know, how do we collaborate better? Because as you say, when you're not telling people to do, when you don't have like clear hierarchy, sometimes it's harder to like work together. You know, I don't know, you know, if like one person can say, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then, hey, that's the team, you know, it's a little bit easier. But a lot of the tools that you bring up, I think help a lot, Josh, like doing the triad and the GovLab stuff, and you and Kai have been bringing a lot of cool things. I think the biggest problem we have is kind of like, we have the roles. The roles thing is pretty useful for sure, but we don't have like I was just thinking, you know, when you have like a pickup basketball game, you know, people don't say, I'm the point guard, I'm the small forward. You know, they kind of like end up following into those spots, and just like quick communication, everyone knows the roles that need to be filled, you know. And the same on a dev team, it's really easy because there's like a standard protocol. Oh, everyone knows what roles need to be filled. We need a designer, we need a UX guy, we need a front end, back end, DevOps, project manager, you know. And it's like, this is like a clearly defined thing, and nothing we're doing is clearly defined. So it's hard to just be like, oh, well, I know I'm going to take on this piece, when you don't even know what the big piece is. Yeah, it's a tough challenge. I don't know if anyone else has.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I really love the roles process, because it indeed it comes from reinventing organizations, and it's roles, not souls, and we can change it and adapt it to our needs, and that helps to have like some sort of framework, and especially accountability for things. You mentioned at some point, Josh, something about like, how do you break it down in silos? I don't know if it's exactly what you meant, but what it makes me think of is the fact that we have our circles, and it helps to like send people in a certain direction. Like, hey, there is where you're gonna find the info you need, and it also helps us to like say, like, yeah, that's not really my domain. So yeah, I think those two elements for me personally help our organization to function pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
But it's evolving all the time, and that's also why I think that's also the strength of what we're doing. That it's and we have people who are, by now I've gotten used to it completely. In the beginning, it stressed me out big time. It's like, what are we doing? In what direction are we going? Well, we're shifting. We're like all the time we're going with the flow and seeing what makes sense, and we're starting with the Aragon DAC, but then that didn't work, so now we're moving more into this token bonding thing, and like we're like on this journey, and we're like just birds, a flock going from one direction to another, and like learning all the time and being where we ought to be. But we're very extremely flexible organization.
But we're not scale free like the Starlings, because we're not tracking each other extremely tightly at massive distances. We're kind of getting there, it looks like it, you know. We are all across the world and all that, but like it's not particularly well coordinated. And like I'm with you, there is an emergent thing. And actually, so like the people that you were talking about there, the progression design people, for instance, I love all that stuff. Like my dad's management and marketing in a university, and he talks about this stuff ad nauseum, and all this project management stuff comes up over and over again. But one of the things that I've recognized within the organizations I've worked in, particularly Pillar, is that it's a we thing. Like project management isn't a one person. That's the old world of hierarchy. So like reinventing organizations, for instance, like most of the people, I'd say all of you apart from myself, actually, I've read the short notes of it, have done. But like it's really important, I think, that we keep iterating and learning about stuff like these open value networks, which are completely new to me. But like that's kind of the direction I see things moving towards. But I'm not sure. Maybe they're going another way.
What's an open value network?
It was the thing I posted over the other day. I will give you the thing now again in this one. But it is, you know, a non-hierarchical open network that is essentially the commons. It's the stuff that the P2P Foundation people have been working on to create a network. You could say Inspiral is an open value network, although I'm not sure it quite meets the definitions, because the open value network's probably more defined than Inspiral have got to. And I would guess that they've derived some of their patterns from learnings in organizations like Inspiral. So this is their next iteration. But like, it's interesting because these guys have been working on this kind of stuff for 20 years. You know, they're just forming, collapsing. So I find it really interesting to think about how we're working together, but it's also it's more collaborative than a silo thing. So I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like I'm a bit overweighted on the research now.
Yeah, you're deep. Hey, so it's 8 o'clock here, 7 o'clock, I guess, some places, and God knows what hour it is for LA and the States. But so we should call it, but I believe we're doing a Rolls hangout after this now.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to come, you know what it is. It's a hangout.
Yeah. So let's do like a formal close and then let people leave if they got to leave. And then we'll do the Rolls hangout. So great meeting, guys. Great fireside chat. Always, I love what Bowen had to show. Really excited to see a revamp of the bridge, especially after an epic fail recently that we discovered, which is great. Hey, we discovered it, so that's good. And it wasn't an epic fail, just a fail. But yeah, and I'm super stoked to. I really want to read that open value and P2P document, man. That's so good. Like, that will be on my to-do list for probably ever. But,
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I'll pass it to Chris.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I was happy to be able to share a little bit that thing I went to last week. It was really inspiring. I was just checking also their website, but it's still mainly in Dutch right now. I can only share their slogan, which I like, which is "Change is inevitable, progress is a choice." But I'll contact them and I'll let you know. And yeah, thanks for the meeting. For the roles meeting, I'll listen in via my phone because I haven't gotten out today and it's getting dark and I need to go outside or I get sad, and I pass it to Danny.
Yeah, thanks. It was an interesting conversation about our Lumio / didn't need to be a Lumio and how we're evolving on that striking piece. Super stoked to see what Bowen's working on and to hear what y'all have going on. And I'm excited to stick around for the roles meeting. So I'll conclude there. Thanks, everyone. Pass it to Josh.
Thanks, Danny. Yeah, had a good meeting. I'm sorry if I'm bringing up tough questions. I enjoy the tough questions. I'm a tension seeker, not avoider, I guess. So apologies if I'm seeking out too much tensions. But I did enjoy the meeting, and it was good to kind of see, yeah, just the Lumio I guess, more fluid organization happening. So I will pass it to Bowen.
It was good to see you all again. It was a nice meeting. I'm glad I got to show you some of what I was working on. So that's really cool. And I think that's it. How about Kai?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great fireside chat. I didn't involve myself too much, but it was awesome to listen to you guys. Josh, there are no too tough questions. Like if you manage to surface is the right word, surface any tensions by asking tough questions, that's exactly what you should do. You saw that the answers you gave were, I hope, not too vague for you, that were given are not too vague for you, because it's something like it's really a fluid body that we're juggling for in many cases here almost a few years now, and you know, it's constant progress, and like we often say, we have a hard time documenting because it changes so much, and I would love if you want to dive more into it. It seems like the surgeon's operation is the best one to just like pick out a slice and work on that and maybe make it better. And please keep the reading list updated in GovLab, because you're suppliers with so much great stuff. Yeah, sorry, that would be awesome.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, is there somebody new? No, the fellow chipster is Chris. Anybody missing?
Yeah, from me.
Okay, then I give it to you.
No, it was me who joined on my phone, but I already went. I think we all went.
Oh, I didn't check out yet.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that was a really nice, like, organized and productive fireside chat, and an easy process. So thank you all. And I am the last one, I believe. So goodbye to those of you who are going. Goodbye.
Bye. Or staying. What's our roles game plan?
There's no game plan.
Hanging out. We'll feed it.
So maybe
maybe the stream.
The stream. We can maybe stop.
Yeah, you can end the stream.
I have maybe a